The shinola on that one. All right. Now I would like to address this arts funding issue. Now this all reminds me of a humorous story of the traveling salesman. Let's say that the taxpayer is a farmer and the government is a salesman. Well, the farmer says you can spend the night in my barn, but do me a favor, don't stick your willy into any of the 3 holes in the wall. Well, in this case, the salesman's willy represents the taxpayer's money, you understand. Well, the government, like the salesman, can't help himself. Sticks his willy in the first hole, it feels good. Sticks his willy in the second hole, it feels even better. Sticks his willy in the third hole, and it hurts like hell, and it won't let go. Well, in the morning, the farmer comes out, and he explains. Behind the first hole was my wife. Behind the second hole was my daughter. And behind the third hole was a milking machine that don't let go till it gets 50 gallons. Gentlemen, I propose that this arts funding is like a milking machine, and unless we shut it down, it's going to rip our dicks right off.
Hi, are your parents forgetting to take their drugs? Mine used to, too. Well, now that they're getting older, they do forget. Some of them have gotten so health conscious they don't even use them. But the truth is, now is when they need them most of all. Running the world is a bitch, and they were totally unprepared for it. So what can you do to make sure they get off every day? Give them these. Colorful, pleasant-tasting Elvis drugs. They make drug-taking fun. And parents love them, as they remind them of someone who shaped their early moral judgments. And we make them in the flavors they used to love best. Cheeseburgers, French fries, cherry Cokes. Here in our Elvis drug labs, our trained researchers discovered a high-potency formula. And then we shaped them like little hound dogs, guitars, and teddy bears. Elvis drugs, all shook uppers, love me tenderizers, and blue suede ludes. Elvis drugs, the fun way for adults to get the drugs they need.
Don't say no to this fantastic offer. Send your entire wallet to yet another Elvis ripoff box, 1 million Old Shap Expressway, Nashville, Tennessee.
Bread, $2 extra.
$2, but everyone in front of me got free bread.
You want bread?
Yes, please.
$3! What? No soup for you.
Alan Moore, you wrote my favorite issues of Radioactive Man.
Oh, really? So you like that I made your favourite superhero a heroin-addicted jazz critic who's not radioactive?
I don't read the words. I just like when he punches people. How do you make his costume stick so close to his muscles?
They took me off into a separate room. I seen them taking different people off, different ones of us off in separate rooms. And they put me on a big white table. And the guy that to take me there, the one of them that took me in there to examine me, I guess, he probed me. And then I was in there, I bet more than 3 or 4 hours in that room of being probed. And at one time or another, there's different ones of them come in, 4, 5, 6 of them at different times, and all of them probed me. Not all at once, you know, individually. Later on, years later, now even still, it's a funny thing. It happened on a Sunday, and every Sunday, about the time that I was taken on board that ship, I find I have no feelings in my buttocks.
They think I'm crazy, but I know better. It is not I who am crazy. It is I who am mad.
Why don't you just take her? When you want cattle, you take the cattle. When you want food, you take the food. When you want a woman, you just take the woman. Why don't you just take her?
Jefe, you do not understand women. You cannot force open the petals of a flower. When the flower is ready, it opens itself up to you.
When do you think Carmen will open up her flower to you?
Tonight, or I will kill her.
Dude, you don't have to be ashamed or anything.
But I'm not a fudge packer.
Then why are you packing fudge?
I'm not. I'm a very busy actor. I'm just here trying to get away for a weekend and do some fly fishing.
Dude, you're in a fudge factory packing fudge.
Oh, that does it. I will sue you.
For what?
You can't just call somebody a fudge packer and get away with it. Hey, is that fudge packer Tom Cruise?
Oh! Smart-ass ex-boyfriend. You know who I am?
A deeply full retail manager.
Renee is with me now. Okay? You got that? So don't be sniffing around her anymore like you try to do with that. Shit.
There goes the loan.
Listen to me. I got two things to tell you. All right? One, I don't like you. You see you every week in this mall. I don't like shiftless layabouts. You're one of these fucking loser mall rat kids. You don't come down here to work or shop. You hang out all day. Act like you fucking live here. Well, I have no respect for people with no shopping agenda.
Is this what's known as motivated salesmanship?
Hey, Underpants! You mess with one boy adventurer, you mess with all of us.
I think they were hoping you'd say that.
Looks like you got a little, herpy on your lip there. You been kissing your wife's ass? After I put herpy in there?
Get to this stubborn. He's never gonna let you down. He's always looking so fly. No other buck can compare, that's why Gizmo's the best dog in the world. Living better than Snoop Dogg. That motherfucker better watch out for Gizmo. He's got style and he's got grace. Gizmo's the part that can't be replaced.
Sheriff, he wants to see you.
What knockers? Oh, thank you, Doctor.
Tell me, Senator, did you nurse Catherine yourself?
What?
Did you breastfeed her?
Now, wait a minute.
Yes, I did.
Toughened your nipples, didn't it?
Oh, son of a bitch.
Amputate a man's leg and he can still feel it tickling. Tell me, Mom, when your little girl is on the slab, where will it tickle you?
Take this thing back to Baltimore.
Let's get back
right,
to
so these punks,
yes.
I don't know if they wanted money or they wanted something more sexual.
Wow.
But it's a lucky thing I had my pieces.
Your pieces?
My guns.
Oh.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang!
Wow.
Bang! Well, I don't see so good, so I missed. Then they ran away. I ran after them.
Okay.
Bang! Try to shoot them in the back. But I don't run so good either. Anyway, you guys all think I'm a hero, and I'll accept that responsibility.
For shame, Doc. Hunting rabbits with an elephant gun.
Elephant gun?
That's right, Doc. So why don't you go shoot yourself an elephant? You do, and I'll give you such a pinch!
We're going to start our volleys. We hope you like the show. Now everything is ready. We're raring to
Originally settled as Ocean View during the 1850s, the city's population boomed with displaced
But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
Welcome to Fantastic Comics Presents. Not just a YouTube show talking about comic books, but a YouTube show that is sponsored by The Comic Store in Berkeley, California. For those of you that don't know who I am,
my name is Yul Carter, comic book retailer in Berkeley, California.
That's right. I am that comic book retailer. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Thanks for joining us for this Tuesday at 8. We are every Tuesday, rain or shine, life or death. Here, I got this for you. Start out with a little agua. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody that's here live. For those of you that are here after the fact, we're going to say hey to all y'all in just a moment. But first, I want to let you know we're going to be talking about stuff that happens in the comic store, stuff that, gets talked about within the comic community out there, and just stuff that tickles my funny bone. Also, we talk about related subjects. So there's a lot of New Hampshire talk. I'm just joking. We're not going to do any of that. Instead, this is a little segment we like to call the Wrestling Minute. Why, don't blink. You might see some wrestling in comic books in just a little bit when we talk about our feature comics that left us too soon. Most of it is from my point of view. I took some pointers from some people and was disappointed for the most part. I have exceptions to whatever I'm going to lay out as rule. And we're going to have a guest in just a little bit. This person did not want to talk about wrestling. And I can understand that. This is not part of the minute, and it might be too. Everything's going to be WWE related. So first up, there was an announcement on who the WWE superstars that were going to be on the cover of WWE 2K4. Cody Rhodes, everybody. All right. Excellent. Cody Rhodes is, wow, I don't think this was on his, well, maybe this was actually on his bucket list when he left the company oh so long ago. But now he is on the video game cover. Hopefully it's not like, an MLB curse or anything like that. And everything will be okay, because there's two more people that were announced for covers. Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. Holy cow. The women have really come up in wrestling. Definitely in the WWE. They have major parts and spots and storylines that are going on, and they have 5-star matches too. Really good athletes and great presentation. The women in the WWE. Maybe Rhea Ripley has one tattoo too many. This weekend is Royal Rumble, And there's been only a couple of matches other than the Royal Rumble women's and men's match announced. One is Kevin Owens versus, oh my gosh, Jake Paul. The U.S. Championship is on the line, and we want Kevin Owens to bring it back to the Fed. And then also there's going to be a 4-way against Roman Reigns. We've got LA Knight, AJ Styles, and a returning Randy Orton. My goodness gracious. That's going to be a powerful, powerful match, I'm sure. And then you have the 2 Royal Rumble matches. There are a lot of people that are in here, but I wanted to highlight a couple people that aren't, that I have speculated on in the store and other people have out there. Of course, this person's already signed to WWE, and we're just waiting for this person to come back. So don't forget about Jade Cargill. She's been working her butt off, and although she's had a little bit of personal tragedy in her life recently, she's ready to make a comeback. And I mean, the Royal Rumble Kane spot is to her, if you ask me. A person we haven't been seeing a lot lately, and there was supposedly some talks that were called out or called off. Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné. The last time we'll call her that. She could totally come back. And if she did, I think that'd be a big pop. And definitely better than her going anywhere else. And then, of course, on the men's side, you got to think that this person's looming. Brock Lesnar. Yeah, anyway. I think that's what's going on in the Royal Rumble. Ah, darn, did I not bring up the pictures of Raw? I thought I did. Let me just do that really quick. See if I can do it. It really doesn't matter, but it kind of matters. It's sad, you know, and you want to give all the attention something needs. It doesn't matter. Seth Rollins was injured in his match last week, and he addressed it, said he is not going to get any surgery, at least for the time being, and he plans on defending at WrestleMania. And then Gunther came out. And then there was a big old stare down between CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. And a lot of talk about who the real American dream is and, you know, stuff like that. Good Raw. And if you only watch the 2 hours. Now, if you plan on watching the 3-hour show, you better be planning on getting Netflix in 2025. Because Raw signed a $5 billion 10-year deal to be streamed live on Netflix on Mondays. So, wow, that's amazing. $5 billion. Whew. And then they got a deal with CW for their NXT. And then USA is going to be doing SmackDown. So they're going to be tied up in long contracts that are going to be very, very lucrative on top of everything else they do. The rich get richer. That's your wrestling minute. So I'm going to invite our guest on. You know what? Why don't I invite our guest on right now? It's the only thing I had prepped.
Call to the public, call.
Hey, Talking Soul, how you doing?
What's up? What's up, everybody?
Pardon me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay.
I just didn't hear that last part. It really doesn't matter. I shouldn't have said anything. For those of you that haven't met Talking Soul before, he is a customer of mine in Berkeley, California. That's our store location running down on the bottom. I'm going to bring up a banner for what we can expect to talk about. We are going to also have a very, very special Crack the Slab. In fact, that's why Talking Soul is here. But first, for everybody that's here live, I want to say...
Hello. 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 Hello.
Hello.
Cheers.
All right,
Bourbon.
cheers, man. All right, obviously, I'm going to go and take a look at what people have to say. We're going to have a real hot conversation about comics that ended too soon. If you have to interrupt me, super chat. I should see it. If not, I'll get around to it. First up was Fantinium earlier. Too good to last. It's not just comics. Every type of episodic entertainment runs into that problem. For sure. What was that?
Yeah, I guess sometimes I feel like with episodic stuff, if they have a good thing going, it probably makes it about 3 seasons, and then it after that it's rough. I don't know, some did good, like Game of Thrones lasted a long time and it was pretty decent.
Well, I bet there's a lot of debate amongst people. So definitely, if you want to let us know about that right this second, that's a super chat. But I might debate you on that at a later moment. You know, anybody that wants to have a Game of Thrones episodic conversation, I think I could hold my own. I might probably want to rewatch some of that, and I know there's a lot of it I don't ever want to rewatch. Anyway, yeah, we can get on into that too. Jilby Pill in the other room. Hello. Elithid Laura, going to be a hell of a wrestling minute tonight. It sure was. I mean, pay attention to the other companies. Battle Buddy says, Martial Law, one of my favorites that didn't last. Now, I want to let you know that when we get to the list, I didn't include any miniseries. Just to let you know.
Martial Law.
Talking Soul. Lane Kramer. Hey, everyone. Evening. Yes, evening to you also. Is it cold where you are? You guys are talking to each other. Excellent. Best Ren and Stimpy bits involve space. No, sir, I don't like it. Maybe there's a couple other ones, but I tend to agree with you. Dwayne Muth. Good evening, Yule, and everyone in chat. Good evening to you. Let's see. Eli. Is that vodka? Wait, vodka. No, that big glass? Please. I can't drink any of my favorite vodka drinks. I don't want any of that.
For when it's cold outside.
For when it's once you do like a brandy or something.
Bourbon.
Bourbon. All right, let's see. Fear Monarch. Yeah, I thought that was something hard, and I was like, oh no, Yule's gone off the rails. Nice and shaved today. I did that actually a few days ago. I can already feel the growth coming back pretty good. I grow a pretty quick beard. How's your beard growing capability there, Val?
I wasn't able to grow a beard until I hit my 40s.
Oh, yeah.
It took a while.
Took a while until it really grew in.
Yeah.
Is that the Filipino side of you holding it back? Is that what that is?
Probably. And,
Yeah.
I don't normally have a lot of facial hair.
They always had those wispy ones, you know?
It's the Spanish side of me that probably gave me the beard.
Oh, okay. Very good. Yeah, the whole Seth Rollins thing, man. Let's see. All right, let's see. Paul Brothers equal snooze. What? I hear the kids love him.
Yeah.
Omos is clearly going to win the Rumble. He's 20 feet tall and 800 pounds. How could he ever? Yeah, I think it's all about fulcrums and levers. They can get him up and over.
Yeah, I heard some people arguing about it earlier today.
About what? The Royal Rumble?
Yeah, who's going to win it?
This match on Saturday, with the men especially, there are more people that I could actually see win it. I mean, scripted, obviously, but usually it's one obvious person that's going to win it, and then they come out last, and then they win it, or something like that. there's very few surprises when you're watching wrestling for any length of time. And this is like one moment. It's just like comic books, you know. Oh, I've read that story back in the Burt Claremont days, or I read that back when Dan Slott wrote it, or something like that. Someone else says, "Oh, I read Dan Slott's back when it was a Doctor Who episode or something," you know. But this year, there's at least 3 people that could win it. That, you know, I really believe that. That's pretty good. Ali, he's a member, so it comes up green for me. Hello. That's the cherry emoji I can't see when I use it through StreamYard. Wait, what's this? Cosmic Powers Unlimited got canceled way too early back in the day. Was that an book? I don't even know that one. Okay. I read Game of Thrones because of Fantastic Comics. Yeah, we were selling those books like crazy. We opened up, the show came out. People had read or watched the first season. They're like, "Oh my God, Ned." So they wanted to read the rest of the books. And then we got them back on the first book too. Well, usually the first book. They're like, "Oh my gosh, there's so much more here than in the program. I got to find out what I'm missing," and then they go back. It was great.
Yeah, reading it makes more sense when you when you're making connections.
Fear Monarch says, "I'm sure it'll fall under miniseries shuffled off to the side mentioned, but Big Numbers only got 2 issues. Criminal, definitely criminal. I didn't pay attention to that one for pretty much that same reason, or that miniseries reason. The third one was done, but not released. And then the fourth one, all the pages that were finished got destroyed by the artist that was working on it, not named Bill Sienkiewicz. His name was Al Columbia, or is Al Columbia, and he's done a whole bunch of other stuff back in the day. And if you, or after Big Numbers, but, you know, before today, back in this day.
Destroyed the art, huh? It was like one of those "I quit" kind of things.
He quits. "I'm done. You guys aren't." Well, supposedly,
and then they're all, "Oh, can you give us the pages?" And he was like, "What pages?"
So supposedly, Alan Moore and Bill Sienkiewicz each were paid $1 million each to do Big Numbers, and a lot of the heavy lifting on the art was being done by the understudy, Al Columbia. And he wasn't really seeing any of this residual $1 million or anything like that. And he took the pages and destroyed them. Artist. Usually you just put something racist in there and then let them get caught.
Editor missed something.
Rogue Comics asks, "Yule, did the FOC for FCBD already pass on Diamond?" I do believe it was last week. I can't remember. There was only Conan that I was ordering from them, and maybe like 1 or 2 others. So I know I did get it in, and it wasn't this week. So yes, I think it already passed. Oh, Cosmic Powers Unlimited was a Marvel book by Ron Mars. Well, sometimes something ending for one person being sad about is a cause for an enjoyment for other people. I wasn't around for that. Probably a little bit of a blip for me. New Eternals only got 1 issue, and while it was in fact pretty bad, it actually had a great depiction of Apocalypse. All right. And Fear Monarch, "I bought the Alan Moore book just for those rough script drawings." All right. Talking Soul, you are here because you are going to join me for Crack the Slab. I think this is a good time to play this video. That's right. Good. Let's see here. What do I want? I need to get a picture up for us. Oh, there it is. All right. I got so many pics I had to bring up for this show this week that my brain is just overrun with like capturing pictures and editing the pictures and bringing them onto folders so I can find them easier. And of course, I'm not going to really be able to find them easier.
Yeah, I gotta do that.
You got a what?
I DJ with USBs, so I have to do a lot of organizing before.
What kind of, so when you have an understudy for you in music, what kind of grunt work do you make the understudy do?
Things are different now.
Mhm.
It's not very structured. It's kind of like a free for all. With social media being a really big influence on how things work nowadays. Someone will come in. I mean, there's still real musicians, and great studios where people do have to pay their dues. I kind of work. I haven't really officially worked with this young guy, uh, but he's kind of like that. He went into a real studio in Oakland, a full-on professional studio, and he went in there very, very young, underage, as
Mhm.
kind of like an outlet for him, and he just kind of caught on. And I met him a little bit farther down the path, but he's been there the whole time, just learning the old school way, just sitting in on sessions, you know, working with master engineers and just doing whatever they say, being a gopher. That's usually how it would start, right? Excuse me. And and it doesn't matter. I mean, entertainment, music is art. Comics production is art. Uh, Writing novels is art. Making films is an art. And there's a lot of pre-production that goes on, right? So, and all of those require, at least traditionally, it's always required you to work under somebody and learn, and then you get your shot. But that's kind of like that kind of something that we talked about a little bit, right? Like, you used to kind of earn covers. You work under somebody so that you get a chance to ink something to
Mhm.
somewhere along the line, just like to work
Oh
under a
yeah,
chef.
before you get to ink, you have to like just spot the blacks. It's
Yeah.
you're not the person that gets to ink the page. You just get to ink all those empty spots that are just going to be black.
Yeah, and I think it just takes an incredible a lot of amount of time to learn something before you can do it, like where it looks like it's easy.
Mhm.
I just think that's important. And like now with technology, you can circumvent the learning process in half the time now. In 5 years, you could pretty much do what it takes to do 10 years, but it doesn't, but you still don't have that length of time of experience, right?
Right.
So you're missing a lot of tools by trying to be at the top, like faster than it naturally takes. And it's not like I don't I know we always get into this feeling like we're gatekeeping. Nobody wants to be a gatekeeper. I'm definitely big on being the adult you wish you knew when you were younger, and I really believe that. And I try to stay within those bounds. You know, we talk
Mhm.
about this about being open minded, so I'm
Yeah.
always open to new titles and indies and things like that. But not everybody is.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a lot longer of a conversation, and it's really spun. It's spun out of something else. And I think we should just go straight to the comic book first, and then we can get into it as we're talking. But first, it's like, so firstly, you had seen a post on eBay saying this is the worst comic book you could possibly ever want to buy. Is that what this was? The worst
Yeah.
Slab
Okay.
of all
So,
time.
so no, like I'm a typical longtime comic fan. I think we all kind of share a little bit of OCD and ADHD. There's the other aspect of like I think we got a good mix of spectrum.
Yeah, there's bipolar, that kind
Yeah,
of stuff,
yeah, right. Because we like art and it does something to our mind
Mhm.
and stuff, and then we can share that with artists because they're a little bipolar and highly emotional and sensitive. So you know, uh, but anyway, we have a whole network of hunting for comics, that we're always looking for, and Instagram during the pandemic was like a big window into comics, like where we're at kind of now with this whole influx of like comic sellers and dealers, and it's Instagram sellers, and we're getting to see like people's collections, and I like buying from people that sell from their collection. And so this guy is like he was he's been on Instagram like recording his journey as a comic seller full time. And that's kind of like how I came across him, and he buys comics from some of the people that I find stuff for me. So he posted one day that he bought a collection, and he didn't understand why this particular comic was slabbed.
So he
He
didn't slab this comic, is what he
No,
did.
no, it was part of
Okay.
like a collection, and he had it in there, and he thought it was bizarre that it was slabbed, and he just kind of didn't understand it. And then like he tried to sell it, and like nobody was interested, and he kind of got fed up. So then I just came across it, and it's interesting to see because he shows like what his sales are, and then he talks about his strategy, you know, and how he's trying to survive because, like I said, he quit a really nice job. He was like, I think he was worked at a uh, he was a meat cutter. I'm sure that I know that makes a lot of money, but I'm sure that's not a happy job, right? I mean, cutting meat all day,
I
comics
don't
is
know. I mean,
mostly.
if that was your thing and you just did it and continuously did it, I think, you probably got some biceps,
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
I don't know, maybe, I mean, I look, being a dishwasher, if it wasn't for like my lower back getting, you're all hunched over. Actually, it's more here. Uh, if I could just make money being a dishwasher, it'd be really easy. An easy life, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah. See, like, yeah, that's what he said. He was like, maybe because it was a newsstand, that was the only thing he could justify for it being slabbed. But
Right.
it was kind of like a house that's been on the market longer than 90 days. So he
So
was.
do you know, because I'm thinking about that now. Was this not bagged like the ones that we got in our comic stores?
I guess.
Because
Well,
you won.
I guess it's supposed to have maybe a trading card. Where was that when all the books had trading cards?
They did, but if it was newsstand, maybe no, it's polybagged with trading card, polybag removed. So
Mm,
the card must be in here, I'm assuming.
I don't know. That'd be cool.
Well, we're gonna find out when we open it. So the starting bid, I love the worst slab comic of all time. It might be because it's a 9.0. You didn't know when you sent it in because it was in its bag. So my Ultimate Spider-Man 1, the Miles Morales one, that one came back from the bag 9.0. And it's like,
Well,
it's a bummer, I could have sold it for more probably just in the bag.
oh, okay. I see. He said that Dave Nguyen says they remove the card and send it back to you.
Oh, so you didn't get a card with this, did you?
No.
So we're gonna open this.
I mean,
Okay, so 99 cents. Was there a
99
lot of people
cents?
that were bidding on this? It
99
said or
cents
best offer.
yeah, it was 99 cents, free shipping, or best offer. I'm like, I mean, damn.
Free
I thought,
shipping. This must have cost at least $7 to ship,
I mean, if
right?
I would have offered him 50 cents, I would have really felt like a. I mean,
So you're like, I could do 99 cents and feel good about
yeah,
myself, is what you
because he's
said.
like, I'm gonna put it on my eBay right now for 99 cents. I just want it gone. I'm tired of contemplating the reason why. I just want it out of my life. I guess, it was just, he couldn't get rid. It was like one of those things where, like, people sell you a comic and they're like, hey, 2 freebies. And it's like 2 random ass comics that, like, issue 22 of some random.
So how much did you end up paying for this book right here?
So I when he said that, I'm like, I'll buy that thing because I'm putting together my the 90s X-Men issues, because I stopped at around like issue 17, or the X-Men with the Ghost Rider on the cover, Jim Lee.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
And that's about the last X-Men issue I bought for
So
like.
just to let you know, Executioner's Song for me personally is the best company big crossover event story ever in the X-Men universe. Personally,
Yeah, I never
That's
put them
the
all
best
together.
one.
Just I only
It's
have
got
them.
great. All right, so just on artwork alone, let me just give you the names. You have Brandon Peterson.
Yeah,
You have
I like him.
You have one of the Kuberts. I don't remember. No, it was Jay Lee. It was Greg Capullo, and I think it was one of the Kuberts. Let's say Andy, whatever.
Yeah, I like.
And they
him,
all did this, and it was Scott Lobdell and company, But you need this story, this part of the story. You got the final. I mean, this big confrontation with Strife and Apocalypse, supposedly.
It's an awesome cover.
Yeah, man, Capullo's great. I love his work in this book.
I like the T-Bear covers.
He's a
too,
good
though.
inker, man. All right, so how much did you end up paying for number 17 in a 9?
So he put it on there, and I was like, well, maybe it's there. So I went to check. It was still there. I was like surprised that no one bought it. So I was like, oh, all right, I'll buy it. So I clicked buy now, and when the final came, it was 97 cents because he has a 10% coupon promotion going on.
So you would have felt bad if you offered 50 cents, but
Yeah,
you were
because I just
okay
thought it
to
was-
do 99 cents and use the coupon.
That's the thing. It was an automatic coupon, and I thought it was crazy. And I'm like, damn. Like I was like,
Well,
should I
he
give this
didn't
guy a
send you the
tip?
card. I mean, he's kind of. Let's see if the card's in here anyway. So you noticed already that this almost feels like we can open it without any coercion, right? Oh, look at that. That's the first.
So that's what I say. I'm all about to follow the mutants. Those
definitely
were all my first comics that I bought myself on the newsstand.
Follow the Mutants.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought all of those and read them if I didn't buy them, but they just never really did it for me. And I thought that the cable stripe thing was way more interesting. You don't want this hard plastic waste, do you?
That needs to be recycled. They shouldn't even wasted that damn plastic on those.
I know, whoever went and sent this out. So again, we have the comic in the plastic. So unless the card is in the middle, you're lost the card. I'm sorry to tell you. Maybe
That's one. I feel like you always find those executioners. Like you should be able to dollar backstock those all incomplete.
I'll check somewhere in here and see if I don't have an extra one for you.
Oh, there's some cool ones. I see that future.
Here, I'll blindly pick a card. Okay.
I see the future past cover.
No, that's nothing. That's just the cover. No card. All right. Let's see. All right, here we go. Oh, wow. This is amazing that this would be the card that I picked. We're talking about Ren and Stimpy.
Stupids.
The Loyal Order of Stupids.
Ooh, nice.
It shines. It shines. You know, I pick up anything like that. We'll do that again someday. I'm going to play a video, and then we're going to talk about a comic book that I pressed, and then we'll see how much longer you want to stick around. But first, well, never mind. Anyway, this is it. That was Cracked Slab, but this is the video.
Hard temperito, give you hyperdiarrhea. Hard temperito, give me hyperdiarrhea. Whoa, give me hyperdiarrhea. Whoa, give me hyperdiarrhea. Whoa, give me hyperdiarrhea. Diarrhea, hyperdiarrhea.
That was the easiest slab we ever cracked. That's just amazing. I know. So I'll bring that back to the store for you. Thanks for being a part of this. Another customer, this is a part of the show now, brought in some comics from a local place that sells comics very cheap, like for $1. What is that place called? Anime something?
Anime Island?
Anime Island, I think.
It was cool to hear that they found a permanent spot now, I guess. It was.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
Yeah,
So Ollie, who's in the chat, brought in this X-Men right here. And I took some close-ups of
You
this.
found that there?
Yeah, for $1.
Dang.
I know. Dang is right.
He's always in there scavenging.
He sure is. And then this is the back, which is a classic ad of this. And then I've got close-up, I think, of that over here. And you can see kind of like the dirt, right?
Yeah, that could be cleaned up.
Well, no kidding. That's what this is about. So here you go. Oh, wait, let me do it this way. All right. Here you go with this. So obviously the color break in the corner, there's nothing you can do about it. But that's the corner now. And let me get the original corner. And let me do that.
Let's see what condition my 112 is. Let's play Guess the Grade.
Guess the grade. And then I had over here. So again, like I said, you can't do anything about the color break or the actual tear. But that's what it looks like now. And then I was talking about the back. And that's Dr. J. And I don't have a picture of.
Ooh, I had a good one recently. That was on the back, and I remember I ordered it.
It's so hard to. Okay, there we go.
Let's see.
Oh yeah, there you go. So that's a lot cleaner.
Who ordered that one?
Who ordered what one?
Join the Best, G.I. Joe.
Okay.
I ordered this.
You ordered that?
Yeah. I have all my J cards.
You have all that stuff?
Came and it was a whole package. It came with a figure, some like guns. I got some like I think it came with like patches and.
All right, so look at this one. So he also bought this Black Panther #1. And if I don't know if you can, for $1, right? Now I don't know if you can tell, but it's pretty water damaged. And I got some close-ups for that. So look at this. So obviously that's a big old bend along the edge. And then over here, you can see all of the warping going on in the cover.
What about
And
stain?
then, and you're thinking to yourself, yes, that's exactly the question. So what you normally do is either open it up or look at the back cover. And there's your back cover.
Nah.
And you get up close and you can see all the water damage and all the staining. And there you go. There's some more. And oh, the wrong one. So originally it looked like this. And let me get a close up one more time of that.
Yep.
And now let's take a look at the bottom where that crazy frog is. Look at that.
Nice.
Yeah. It's like, so when you open it, even the pages that were warped aren't warped anymore. And this
Wow.
was been out for like hours now. Now, of course, the back.
Shiny. Yeah, but the front looks nice.
The front does look nice. I figure
that's like
this has been restored quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that's because he got me a bunch of Savage Dragons. That was a free presses right there. Front of the line for those Savage Dragons. Guess how much he bought those Savage Dragons for?
$1.
$1 each. That's right. Holy cow. He was telling me a story about how they have a ton of stuff out for grading. And then they got the call for how much it's going to cost. And they're like, you know what? We'll split it up amongst other places. But that was an interesting story. I hope that wasn't in confidence, and I hope I at least made it funny. You want to stick around for the new Comic Book Day segment?
Yeah.
All right, watch this video.
Why, we sell a dozen a day in this price range.
Who buys them? Tax collectors?
Even if I had to pay, it would be worth it. Just for the occasion.
What, something big going on somewhere?
What's going on right here? It's a big night.
Well, it's just an old run-of-the-mill Wednesday. Well, the calendar's full of them.
That's right. The calendar's full of them. So we got new comics coming out for tomorrow, which is going to be the 24th. Let me just put this in. Let's see if I can get Val to commit to any of these books, because I don't think there was anything on your poll. So let's see if I didn't screw up then. First up, can I interest you in Ram V's Detective Comics? Batman's in it. I don't know if you know. Yeah. Immortal Thor by Al Ewing and Martin Cocholo.
Yeah.
I don't know how
I
to
like
say
that.
it.
I like that artist.
It's a cool cover. Or is it going to be like Brothers Day Out or something like that?
Probably. They're trying something different with the legacy characters.
What, like making them heroic or just all
Or
around
like
big
slower
guys?
paced, like stories, you know?
Well, when everything else is just a mini series, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. X-Force number 48. Wait a second. You get this, don't you?
Yeah.
All right. But you pick it off the shelf, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually.
This is this is not. This is marching towards the end. 50 is the last issue.
Beast is still on the loose, and he knows where everybody's hiding.
So what does this mean to the end of this run of X-Men storyline, the Krakoa age? Is it going to matter in the end, or is it going to be something that we're going to be able to look at going forward even after the Krakoa age is over? Or is it just going to be like, a waste of time?
What I've been wondering, well, the Krakoan age has always been connected to the lives of Miura, so
I know she has to die one more time. I agree.
Yeah, and Sinister also had a failsafe built in. If he gets killed, that automatically resets with his extra Muors. So I don't like. Is it going to be kind of like that? You know, like how they did us on the last one, where like they went to different dimension and then it kind of just all popped back in and reset. Kind of. I don't know. I hate when they do that. You know, the
Right.
X-Men's unique in that way is they always time travel and they're always like in these crazy like reality battles. Some, you know,
Right.
like they be resetting time all the time. Like think about it. Like this whole Krakoan age has been resetting reality over and over, like 10 times. This is the 10th time.
I don't even know if not only that, wasn't Sinister screwing around with stuff?
Yeah,
Or
I
was
mean,
that like in a pocket dimension where he was running a whole bunch of Moira experiments, remember? Before
he
they
was
did the attack on the gala?
I guess everything happens between the 9th death of Miura and the 10th death. So I guess that's where we're at. That's what's happening now.
Right. Going back to chat, I want to say hello to Dave. Dave, he said it's because it's a newsstand edition that they would even
Yeah.
bother slamming that.
A
I
90s
agree.
newsstand.
Right.
Late
Well, if they
90s.
remove the card and send it back, then they should have sent it to that guy who should have sent it to Val along with his comic. So,
Yeah, but it was in a dusty collection, so he probably had a box or maybe
oh,
lost
that's
the card.
right. Okay, so it wasn't that guy again. Duh. It was the guy before that.
Yeah, when you buy a collection, sometimes you're like it's blind, right? Like partially blind.
So Rogue Comics is saying I'm crazy, either for the Executioner song or because Fall of the Mutants is much better. That runs with New Mutants, if I recall, and it can't be better. There you go. It's just one of the things, if the New Mutants are involved. By the way, I have priced up a ton of New Mutants. If you like Brett Blevins or Jackson Geis or Bill Sienkiewicz, Badger, that run, the end of the Claremont, the beginning of the Simonson, I have a bunch of those, and they're pretty, $4 for the most part. Extinction Agenda has Jim Lee and Liefeld and John Bogdanov, Dave says. And I would agree with all of those words. John Bogdanov isn't good all the time, and he definitely wasn't there. And that storyline, if I remember, it's like Freytag's curve. You want to hit your apex of your story right before the end. And they do it by issue 6, and they still have 7, 8, and 9.
They had a lot of printing errors in that time too.
I don't know anything about printing errors. All I know is it was shite.
If you look at all those books out in the wild, they're all have different color shades.
I say
Cover.
Anime Island, everybody. Everybody should know about Anime Island.
They're trying to keep it a secret, but now
I know
everybody's
they are.
pushing it.
Well, not anymore.
Hey, there was a record shop in San Francisco that used to be the DJ secret, like generational. It was called Open Mind, and like DJs from like the 60s till now were like sell their collections there, and then people would only know word of mouth, and if they let you in they would tell you, and then they told you what days to go, and you go in and you find like all the classics, dude, all the best Neil Young, everything. I have so many that are worth a lot just because my friend took me there and told me about the days to go in. And then eBay came, and then there was a crew of these guys that would just go in and murder all the record shops and sell them all on eBay for twice the cost.
Dwayne Muth, Jack Davis artwork on that X-Men 112 back cover. That's right. This is Rick Barry and Julius Irving playing basketball. Dr. J dunks. You see what they don't say here? Now it's my turn, Julius. And this person's like, it's a 30-footer. You know what they didn't say? 3. They didn't say 3. Guys like Rick Barry, guys like Jerry West, they didn't have a 3-point line. They had no incentive to shoot from farther away, even though they could make those shots too. Back in the day when there was only a 2-point shot. So when everybody's talking about the greatest people of all time, just question whether or not they were able to play with 3-point line or not. Also question if there were black people involved. But hey, Dr. J, Rick Barry, good players. All right, let's see. Back to comics. Duh, that's what we're doing here. Green Arrow number. Let me get that down. Green Arrow number 8. It's an ongoing series. Williamson, Hester. This is like that Vertigo character or something from back in the Kevin Smith days. They changed his look, I think. Does that excite you?
I like the cover's nice.
Yeah, it's a nice cover. Gods number 4, Jonathan Hickman, Valerio Schiti. It's an 8-issue miniseries, I think. Are you caught up with this?
Yeah, I'm still intrigued.
You read the 3rd issue?
Yeah, I like Magic though.
Mm-hmm. I still haven't read the 3rd issue. I have it somewhere over here to read. Next up, we have Flash number 5. Are you into Deodato, Simon Spurrier, or the Flash?
Yeah, I like Simon Spurrier from his Legacy run with Legion and his Legion run.
That was my only thing I've read of his I actually like.
Yeah, I really like that one. I don't know if he did the no, was it? I don't know. I can't remember who did the Foes of Spider-Man.
That was Nick Spencer.
Oh, Spencer. Okay, yeah.
Resurrection of Magneto number 1. I heard Storm plays a lot, like a pivotal role in this book.
Yeah, she's still kind of holding her own.
I guess so. I'm not really. I guess this is like what would have happened if X-Men Red was still going on, maybe. All right, guys. Ghost Machine. This is a jam of all the Ghost Machine type products you're going to be able to buy in the future, including stuff by Gary Frank and Jeff Johns, Brian Hitch and Jeff Johns, Jason Fabic, Peter J. Tomasi, Peter Sneersgaard. I can't remember his name, how to say it. It's that guy. A couple other people that work in like television. It's a slick product, and it does look interesting. Can I get anybody excited about the Ghost Machine universe? Something that isn't Marvel, DC. It's Image, but it's its own imprint. All the people that are going to work there are exclusive, supposedly.
Yeah, their weird timeline's kind of, I don't know, odd to get a little bit to me, but I like that guy, the flaming dude. I forgot what that.
Geiger.
I like Geiger.
Like Radiation. Yeah, it was pretty good. Star Wars Thrawn Alliances, number 1. I assume all my Star Wars fools are going to want this book. And then I got some extras because anytime I hear anything about Star Wars that clicks, that isn't something I already know, it's usually because of Thrawn.
There's a photo variant that's pretty tight.
I didn't get it. Damn you. Holy Roller number 3. Who's the biggest star that does this book? Let me get that scroll off. Andy Samberg, Rick Remender, Roland Boschi.
Andy Samberg, like the SNL Andy Samberg.
Oh, I guess that would be the guy. Yeah. The Chronicles
I've
of
been
Narnia.
intrigued by this book, but I haven't bought it or anything because sometimes it could be overwhelming.
I read the first issue, and there was like a pot smoking son that was trying to be a big old slacker. So obviously, I'm okay with that kind of character. But his father's like a bowler who's dying. And then I know there's like a lot of anti-Nazi stuff in this. So I don't like it. Not because I'm pro-Nazi. I just don't like them as villains. Give me a break. You know what I
It's
mean?
low-hanging fruit. Like, oh, let's put a Nazi in because
Well,
everybody.
for me it is. But you know what? It's Andy Samberg, and not that I'm saying anything about Hollywood, we'll give it a pass. Coming up next, we have Junior Baker, the Righteous Fakir. Fakir. That's how I've been trying to pronounce it incorrectly, probably. You'll hear all about that later on another episode. This is the last issue of the miniseries by a friend of the show, Joe Casey, and Ryan the Quackenbush. It's existential. It's crazy. It's like a Rosetta Stone for comic books. I don't know. Am I saying the? I don't really. It's a lot of things, but what it is someone trying to find themselves, and aren't we all? Junior Baker number 5 comes out. I recommend this, and you should check out a Butcher Baker, the Righteous Maker, which is a prequel to this. Punisher number 3. I know you come back and you're like, David Pepose is like the best new writer working in comics. Don't you say that?
I like him. He followed up Savage Avengers. He did the volume 2, and he did a really good job. And he wrote a story with the future Miles, and I was impressed by him. And his Punisher is pretty good.
Now, is this Punisher basically just the same Punisher that was before? I've heard a lot of people say that, but I just haven't read it. Like, basically, his family got killed, and he's
a former Shield agent. He's a Wetworks Shield agent.
I see. And so it's excuse me, it's more of an espionage kind of book, or is it still him going out and killing? What is this, a monster on the cover? Is that what's going on?
I don't know. I think it's taken a turn. Maybe the story's changing a little bit.
All right.
He's settled some scores, but he's finding some other things out.
And although there are other books that are coming out tomorrow, including the Romnibus Volume 1, I have a copy of that. Power Pack. This is what we're ending on. We're ending on a. What was that?
I thought isn't that your favorite?
I never liked Power Pack. I was already of an age where I didn't want to be. Say what?
It's there on your spinner rack. I think I see it.
No, you don't see it on my spinner rack. There's no way. Stop that. I have Spawn, but only the one issues. I can't think of the Grant Morrison issues. Yeah, anyway.
It lasted what? Power Pack lasted like what, 30 issues?
It lasted a lot of issues, actually.
60 issues? Something like that?
Louise Simonson, June Brigman, it's a story about younger superheroes. I assume it looks like it's a story going back when those two people worked on Power Pack in the 80s. So we don't have to get caught up in the fact that Julie Powers something that she wasn't here because she was a kid, and who gives a shit? You know what I mean? So if you enjoyed that, or if you have a child that's going to enjoy a well-crafted story, a mini series, unfortunately, this is definitely something that you might want to check out if you just want like a lighthearted. See, it's hard for me to say as an adult, hey, you want to read a story about kids? You know, it doesn't really play. Every once in a while, there's a book that I'm like, I can get into it in spite of the fact that it's like about a 16-year-old kid.
The FF was like that. Well, the first FF was what? Uh was She-Hulk, Ant-Man.
What?
Remember?
FF? You're
Yeah,
talking about when Matt Fraction was writing that?
when the universe reset, when the original 616 universe reset, the FF, the
There
Fantastic
was no
Four
reset.
disappeared, and they used the power to reset or to like recreate the universe, and so they started the FF series, and it was She-Hulk, like Ant-Man, and like that one. She was like a pop star, and she wore a thing suit. She was like a famous pop star and wore a thing suit.
Uh-huh.
And I forgot who the other. And the Inhuman with the what's her name, with the long hair.
Medusa.
Medusa. So they were the FF, and then the FF became the Future Foundation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't. I'm not.
That was a kid. That was a kid series. The Future Foundation was all the kids, and including Power Pack, because Power Pack is part of the Future Foundation now, right?
I'm not even paying attention to it. I gotta admit. So save that for me. I'd like to try that out. I wish you would have said what you're talking about. Also,
There's
for
another
all of
dimension?
you,
I thought they left because they were resetting the universe. That wasn't it. Maybe I'm missing the date.
so check that out.
Oh,
I made it black and white in the background. Isn't that cool? Joe Herb is the guy. It's almost like the same picture. Does he just naturally tilt that way when he's taking a picture? Is that what's going on there? Joe is the one that won the Transformers 1 in 50 last week. Congratulations, Joe. I also got him that Ultimate Spider-Man, so we're square. And if you follow up in chat, let me know what you're talking about. Andy Samberg, Mr. Dick in a Box himself.
that's my favorite music video.
I like. Yeah, I already said it anyway. All right. What about this one? Dwayne Muth. Geiger trade goes for $9.99. Recommended. Fantastic Comics carries it. Let's just see if I can get through. Battle Buddy says Power Pack and the Mutant Massacre and X-Men 205 was my favorite Power Pack. When I'm looking through my X-Men collection back when I was collecting them, Battle Buddy, that's the one I'm missing. Ain't no Power Pack in my collection. Even if it's X-Men. I know.
I read it so back then. I was young, and because it was anything that was connected to the X-Men, I bought it when it was connected to those back in the 80s.
No, what it was the FF needed a backup for when they were going to another dimension because they didn't know how long they'd be there.
Yeah. I thought it was one. Yeah, because there was 2 times where they left. One when they went on some kind of journey. I don't know if it was like
that was Mark Bagley when he was doing that, and then the other one was like Mike Allred, I think.
Yeah, the Mike Allred.
And I like the Mike Allred one a bit, but the Mark Bagley is a deal breaker usually for me. Yeah, what can I say? Hey, do you want to stick around for this conversation about comic books that ended too soon? I mean, it is from my point of view. So I don't want to drag you down. You can debate me if you want, or I could just shut you down altogether, however you want to do it.
Yeah, I'm down.
All right, guys. We got Val for the rest of the show. Let me just bring up. Come on, short series. I'm going to start off with these 4, just to give an idea of what I'm thinking as far as short short runs. Okay. I'm also going to, and I broke these all up into different categories. So the first ones, though, that we're going to talk about are the new age of heroes for DC. It's not necessarily that I thought that these books didn't last as long as they should have. It's that if they were really behind these characters from the very beginning, they should have never let them die. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
those are. I
Sideways is
remember
an
that one.
interesting character. Let it
Rockefeller.
keep going.
I like Rockefeller's art.
Oh yeah, me too. Damage
Yeah.
by Tony Daniel and Venditti. Also, most of these artists that started these books that got the lead credit, they were only on for 3 issues. Rocafort did a bunch of issues, but
I got all these.
but Daniel was gone after 3 issues.
Like these all launched and ended. It was
The
weird.
joke was with these characters was that the Punisher wasn't being the Punisher, the Hulk wasn't the Hulk, other characters weren't the other characters, and so there was no Fantastic Four during the time. So this was the Hulk character. The Spider-Man character was more like Sideways, and then you had the Terrifics, which were like the Fantastic Four. And whether it be the Gene Yang run, which went over 30 issues, or the Jeff Lemire and Ivan Reis issues.
I like those because I like Plastic Man.
This was a fun team. It had the strong character, it had the funny character, it had the female character, it had the male lead smart character.
That's another character there. What's his name? The smart guy with the balls.
Mr. Terrific.
Yeah, Mr. Terrific. Like he got canceled after 8 issues in New 52, and it was actually a really good series.
Yeah, there was a few that were like that. We're gonna, but
the
art plays a lot into it, and obviously sales play a lot into whether or not a series is canceled. And we'll get into that as we're talking about it. We want to run through them just a bit so that we're not like hung up too long, but these are all 12 issues or under series that I thought we should talk about. And it looks like leading off, we got Automatic Kafka by Joe Casey and Ashley Wood.
I didn't come across that one.
So this was when Wildstorm was owned by DC, but they were kind of their own company, and everything Jim Lee was really just that.
Like Icon?
Well, they were doing Wildcats. It was Joe Casey. He was doing a lot of offbeat superhero comics and also some horror comic books, if I remember correctly, like Property Comics. Let's not get too hung up on him, but those were really good. This was also really good. Ashley Wood is not a mainstream illustrator, and if you think the masses are going to flock to his work, then I think you're mistaken, especially when your main character is the superhero. We'll call it a superhero, is doing drugs and tripping balls and fighting crazy characters. And it's very much like I was explaining Junior Baker to be in some respects. In fact, look at that. There's Joe Casey right there talking with the main character. There's the illustrator with Joe Casey, Ashley Wood. There's no way a comic like this is ever going to last. And it didn't. It went like 9 issues.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. And not only that, I remember my buddy who worked, the manager of Comic Relief was talking to Jim Lee. And, in my store, I was pushing it really hard. I push Joe Casey books really hard anyway. And Ashley Wood in Berkeley, that kind of stuff is going to win over most audiences. Was like, hey, when are you going to like do a collection for Automatic Kafka? And Jim Lee's like, nobody's going to want to buy that. And there you go. That's why I took my copies and I bound them myself, or had them bound.
But if couldn't an argument be made since there's no interest in it to just give it back to him and he could do it himself? Take the license back?
Work for hire.
Yeah.
When CrossGen was fading out of out of existence, they had a really good book called El Cazador. It was written by Chuck Dixon with art by Steve Epting. I think this was right before he did Captain America. So when I found out he was going to be doing Captain America, I was like, oh, this should be interesting. Because Steve Epting usually didn't really do it for me. Because he did the Avengers and a long run at that.
I like that kind of old newspaper comic book drama art style, like
Yeah, sure.
Joe Kubert.
Well, this is fantastic work, and it's also
Yeah.
about pirates, which is stuff I could give two about. You know what I mean?
I like that.
But it's an amazing, amazing book, and unfortunately, it ended at 6 issues, and they all went on to do other things.
Yeah.
Here's one I only did 2 pictures of. I don't know if this was technically a mini series or not, or a maxi series. They didn't say it was going to go longer, but it only went 12 issues. I really love the Flintstones.
I have that one.
Mark Russell and Pugh, Stephen Pugh. Is it Steve Pugh?
Pugh.
He did the art, and here's a page of Bedrock. There's a lot of satire and social commentary placed within the Flintstones universe. I think it's really interesting and fun, and it's very much like the Flintstones, just updated. Hey, look, instead of Target, it says Tar Pit. You got to love that. Next up, we have The Heckler. Again, not a mini series, but it only went 6 issues.
Well, nobody likes The Heckler.
Well, I think, again, a lot of times when you look at artwork that's like 9-panel pages and interesting to look at in a way that isn't mainstream, then people are not going to be inclined to want to read it.
Well, it looks very 80s.
I guess so. It was the 90s, though.
So
there you go. But I love The Heckler, and anything Keith Giffen does, RIP, I think is worth checking out.
I just think that, like, when you hear the word heckler, it makes people kind of, I don't like hecklers.
I don't like hecklers. Next Wave by Warren Ellis and Steve Immonen. Not necessarily because of sales, but because the talent cost so much, they couldn't keep doing the book.
Wow, I like that.
Oh, Steve Immonen, man. He was doing some really, look at Moonstone there. And she's a cusser, and so is everybody's a cusser in this book. It's fantastic. It's funny. It's not overdone, but again, it just couldn't last because sales just weren't enough to warrant what these guys to stay on these books. Especially Stuart Immonen. He goes on and does Ultimate Spider-Man. Has a great run there. He has an amazing Spider-Man run. He does all sorts of other stuff that's important for Marvel. It's just Machine Man. He hates humans, flesh bags. Next Wave went 12 whole issues. And It's a shame, but those were 12 good issues. And we already saw him once. We're going to see him again. Mark Russell wrote Prez for DC. It also had.
I go for a first issue like this. That's something new. Maybe just because I think things like that are unique. But I think I probably would have seen this and been like, nah.
So it's something that a person is going to actually have to try and sell to another person.
Yeah.
And the thing about Mark Russell is that he's heavy in satire. And this was a book that would sneak up on you if you didn't know anything about this. And even the original Prez, I mean, a teenage president, firstly, it's not legal. But in the future, when everything is because of social media, a girl who gets a lot of hits on a video of making fun of her because she gets her hair stuck in the corn dog fryer. It gets blasted. Everybody's like, oh my gosh. And all the elections are on Twitter and shit like that.
Well,
And
we're almost there, right? That'd be like Greta Thunberg, and the final match for president would be Greta Thunberg versus The Rock.
Except Greta Thunberg isn't a person that cares about anything. She just slips and falls on her ass, and everybody votes for her because she's Bodie McBoatface. You know what I mean?
Because she went viral?
Because she went viral. And these people are like, yeah, well, there's no way that this girl can win. Even though we allow Twitter and online voting, we see less and less people voting than ever before. There's no way she can win. And then you see her walking down the street and it's blasted. Corn dog girl wins Ohio. And we just had an election today. Well, I mean, not a whole election, just one state. But anybody can win.
Pardons.
Pardon me?
The Republicans are voting for pardons.
That's right. Hey now. Richard Dragon, another Chuck Dixon comic book, this time with Scott McDaniel artwork. And if you ask me, Scott McDaniel does his best work in here. He's worked on Batman. He's worked on Daredevil. But, those were okay. And the stories didn't always match everything that he was doing either. He had an okay run on Robin with Chuck Dixon. But on this Richard Dragon, a character that nobody cares about, he does some of his best work. I mean, you got super awesome fighting scenes. I know. Look at this one. Boom. And then look at this one. This is all from the first issue. I love it. Yeah. This went 12 issues.
But man, that cover sucks.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I mean, that would look better on the inside, but it's just a combo with the typeset.
He needed an Alex Ross cover. You need
a better logo designer.
And then last for the 12 and under, we've got Thing. This went 9 whole issues. It was written by Dan Slott, and most of the art was by Andrea DeVito. Yeah, good art. Look at that Thing. Look,
that's a good
thing. You draw Fantastic Four, how you draw Thing is how people are going to judge you.
Have you seen the recent artist that they had?
It's strange. It's
where
strange.
They had he draws them without a neck,
and he draws them with this kind of swoopy.
It was just a head sitting on top of a rock, like if it was like a rock stack, and I'm like, no, he has a neck. Come on, he's I feel like he's built like a Lego or something.
So this is the last issue. It went 9 whole issues. Dan Slott did a really good job. And in the last issue with Kieran Dwyer doing the art, there was a major poker game. And this was a really good series. I recommend it for anybody that hates Dan Slott. It's funny. And it's only 9 issues. You know what I mean? Let's go back to this. Short stories.
Well, there's been a lot of short runs, right? Like Inhumans.
What do you mean by Inhumans?
I feel like every series since Volume 1 has been like a short.
Have there ever been any ongoing? Is really my question then?
Yeah, it started off with that Split series, right?
But that was ill-fated. It was never going to happen.
And then they got their own series at the beginning, and that lasted what, maybe 9 issues? I'm trying to think. What did they have after that? What series did they have after the 70s? Like, they had that Jay Lee one was just a mini series. They had the one before him that was a mini series.
All right. So in the early 2000s, just before the tsunami hit, I can't remember where. They had a line Marvel did called Tsunami, and that's where Runaways came from. There was a Human Torch with Scotty Young and I can't remember, Ben Herrera, I think. There was an Inhumans by Paul Jenkins. It was all about the kids because the Inhumans were on the blue area of the moon. And there was another book I can't remember. Sentinel. There's a couple crappy ones, but there was a couple really good ones, and I almost included any of them in here. I did not. I did include, though, Hellstorm #1. And this actually went like 18 issues, maybe 17 issues. It's not actually the first part of Hellstorm that I'm talking about. This is Michael Baer on artwork. I can't remember who the writer was, Peter B. Gillis, somebody like that. It really doesn't matter. Marvel, when they try and do horror, especially being influenced by DC's Vertigo, is never good. So don't read the Ghost Rider of that time. Don't read, it's like Marvel's superhero. Even their horror stuff is superhero. So when you try and be more mystical and more Sandman in a superhero universe, for some reason it works better in DC than it does over at Marvel. But halfway through on issue 12, well, I'll say halfway, Warren Ellis and Leonardo Manco take over. And Marvel, who had been trying so hard to duplicate Vertigo with Marvel characters, finally got the Vertigo that they were searching for in a writer that nobody really knew in Warren Ellis and Leonardo Manco, who's going to go on and do all sorts of Vertigo stuff. And this becomes a fantastic series. And in the letters pages, people are imploring people to pick it up and to try and get it to other people's hands because this is the best it's ever been. And they try so hard and they have really cool characters and interaction and it's strange artwork. It's not good for Marvel. It just never is going to be. And then by issue 21, it ends with a great Duncan Fegredo cover.
That's a nice cover.
Yeah, it was. So I think this is a good time to talk about a comic book that came out and had a lot of issues. But even still, I think it left us too soon. Hellblazer.
I like Hellblazer. They're
Started
hard
with
to get. Even the graphic novels are like...
Not all of them are in print right now.
No, and they're good.
Yeah. There's a lot of different creators. I'm only going to highlight 3. Beginning, middle, and end. We've got Jamie Delano and a whole host of other illustrators and sometimes fill in writers to, do his first run. Then we have Garth Ennis and has a whole bunch of illustrators, ultimately Garth Ennis, or ultimately Steve Dillon, and then they work together umpteen numbers of times going forward. And then in an ill-advised move, I think it's stupid. I have actually a stupid category for comics that were canceled. This is because of company policy. They didn't want to keep Vertigo around anymore. They wanted to shunt John Constantine into the DCU, even though in the early days it was. They ended the series, which was the longest running ongoing series continuously from the beginning, volume 1, that was running in comic books. DC had already done the New 52. Marvel had ended X-Men, which was their longest running book. They did relaunches and relaunches, and even though you lose legacy numbering, this was the last long running issue. Now
I became a fan of Giuseppe Camuncoli because of these.
Ooh, baby, yeah.
And then he went over to Marvel.
He was Spider-Man.
And and X-Men, Dokken. He did a lot of that stuff.
Yeah,
I really liked him. I was really into him for some reason.
I agree. So those are the dark comic books. That's what I called those.
Justice League Dark was good though, with Ryan
Yeah,
Sook.
but I mean, the thing is like I really feel like a book like that did run the course that it was going to run. You know what I mean? So I didn't really include it in this. Now, other things that some people have talked about with me. So the guy who talked to me about this was a customer named Max, and Max was talking about. So I asked him, like, "What do you think? Like, what comics do you think I should include here?" And he wanted to talk about the entire Garth Ennis, Steve Dillon run on Punisher. And then I'm thinking to
I have
myself,
that
well,
one.
that is, but
Marvel
if
Knight.
it's too good to continue, then you have to ask yourself, did it continue as long as it needed to be? And whether or not it was good all the way through. And I personally think there was enough lag in it that when it finally ended, I was pretty okay with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it was when that it kind of shook up a little bit when that one run part of it when that old lady came. I can't think of her name with the short like white hair. It was or the mother or whatever. I don't know. Like when that happened, I think it kind of like that's where it kind of broke up for me a little bit. I think the time in between those two volumes, that's probably what messed it up.
All right, so let's start off with this. Probably technically a mini series, but because we never got the end, although we kind of did recently, 1963. I don't remember them saying it technically was a mini series, and I imagine that there might have been more to come if there wasn't problems in whatever it was creating the book. And these were like ode to Marvel comics. So you can see elements of any character in these books. And even on the pages on the inside, it was very much that way. In the very least, this is a fun thing to show you guys. And if you call foul on the fact that I picked these books, then understand it might just be a haphazard way for me to talk about Top 10, another Alan Moore comic book. Who was it was ABC Comics, which was an imprint of his through Wildstorm, which wasn't a DC company yet, and then did become a DC company, and that pissed Alan Moore off. This series only ran 12 issues, and the art was scintillating, and it was all by Gene Ha. There are, like I said, miniseries that happen afterwards, but
Top 10?
It just really didn't happen. Yeah, top 10. It's a story about a city
Award winner.
where everybody has superpowers, and we are following the exploits of the cops that police that city. And it's really awesome. That big guy in the back there, his name is Smacks. And he does get a mini series later on, which is drawn by the inker of this book, Xander Cannon. Here's a book that went a lot of issues, but even still, I think it went too short. That's Atari Force. Back in the day, you had 2 video game consoles, and that was it. I guess it's kind of the same way now, unless you count the Switch, right? Or a Game Boy. Atari Force is a corporate comic written by Jerry Conway and drawn by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, who is the person that made every image of a DC character that you saw on a t-shirt in all the 70s, 80s, and probably 90s too. And he did Atari Force, and Jerry Conway killed Gwen Stacy. The design of the characters, even if they have video game console or cabinet names, are really well done. The story is not half-assed like you would expect a book like this to be done. And even when there's fill-in artists from guys like Ross Andrew, it's always really good work. This guy's name is Tempest, and he can I guess like transport, one space to another. Here we go. There's a good shot of the cast and the bad guy that they're face to face with. This is Ross Andrew right here. And this is the last issue. And who is that? I can't remember right now. Eduardo Barreto. 20 issues this ran. There was also a special. And if you got any of the video games like Berserk or Defender or Missile Command, and I can't remember what the other one was, you also got a comic book that was created from DC for those video games. Atari Force was a fantastic series, and even though I'm not a big fan of Jerry Conway usually, these still live up, and I think this series lives up, if only because of the fantastic characterization.
There's a series that I never took serious, and then I came across them. Someone just gave me like most of them for like $1 or something.
What's that?
And it was like it was like something like the Animal Force or something like that it's called. And like all these animals got turned into like battle creatures, like a shark and a wheelchair and or something like that. And a dolphin. And
Okay.
he was like the smart one with like these lasers on him, and then they had like a kangaroo that got this battle armor, and it was like this professor who like set them all up, and then they would go out and like battle enemies, and it's hella corny when you look at it. It's like Animal Force or Freak Force or something like that, and then they I started to read it just because I was like, oh, let me read this, whatever. And it was actually, the art was good, the storytelling was awesome. I was like, damn, this is this is so random. It's like called something Force. Like, it's the oddest thing. It's like a dolphin and a
So this is the only New 52 series I really wanted to talk about.
Ooh.
It was written by Jeff Lemire with art by Alberto Ponticelli.
I liked that one.
Yeah, it is
That was
very
one
good.
of my favorite 52 series.
Yeah, it was mine for sure. I never thought I'd really like a Frankenstein book, but the Grant Morrison one with Doug Mahnke was so great that I was down for this. And I was fresh off reading Sweet Tooth, and I was already down with a Jeff Lemire book. So this one is a really good series. Eventually, Jeff Lemire leaves the book, and then Matt Kent takes over. Ponticelli stays on, so the artwork is the same. And I'm a Matt Kent fan, especially starting with this one. It had some really good stuff in it. And eventually there's a Superman series by Tomasi that kind of finishes up some Frankenstein stuff. So there. Quickly going through Doom Patrol. This is volume 3 with John Arcudi and Tang Eun Huat doing the art. It's different. If only, a lot of times what you also see, it's not just lack of sales, but it's the art being not mainstreamy to the point where everybody is going to enjoy it. But when you see stuff all the time, when you see Mark Bagley all the time, a Cliff Steele, a Robot Man doing what he's doing right here, is just so exciting. It's a different angle. You know what I mean?
It reminds me a lot of like Jonathan Lau. Have you ever seen Jonathan Lau's art? The way he makes like smoke move around and
Is that Archer? No, that's Stanley.
Yeah.
Lau. Right.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Maybe I have.
Lau did like a lot of Dynamite interior art for like you know, the $6 million man and stuff like that.
This is fill-in artist Seth Fisher, who's no longer with us. But just this kind of style is not something you see normally.
No.
So this was an underrated series, and you knew from the very beginning that they were not going to be able to stick it out. And 22 issues, we were probably lucky to get that many, but it's definitely, it left us too soon. John Arcudi is a good writer. Flinch. This is a horror anthology by Vertigo. It had a lot of creators working on it all the time, and it was anthology. So it was never going to be able to stick it out. We're probably lucky we got 16 issues. There was a lot of interesting people working on it, and that's pretty much the way it goes with a book like that. Next up, we have Gotham Central, a book that went 40 issues, but I think it really ended probably sometime around issue 31, because in an attempt to keep this title alive, they started incorporating it in the DC universe stronger than it was, because it originally was a cop drama in Gotham City dealing with the villains of Gotham without trying to get any aid from the Batman.
Oh yeah, Michael
And
Larson.
so
Him.
yeah, once you started incorporating the DC universe into the book, it was already dead. And probably, like I said, by 31, it was over.
Yeah, Burnham, that previous artist, he reminded me of Burnham. The Rogue
Oh,
Comic.
yeah, he kind of does. But I don't think Burnham is as whimsical as Seth Fisher, if I'm going to be specific. Peter Milligan and Javier Pulido did Human Target. It went something teen issues. Let's see. It went 21 issues. And when it wasn't Pulido, it was Cliff Chang on art. And this tells a story about a guy who undergoes procedures to not only look, but to know everything and be able to act like the person whose life is in danger, so that they can get that person, catch the killer, the would-be killer. And it's very crime and philosophically and emotionally driven. And it's a fantastic series. And I like Peter Milligan a lot. Here's Cliff Chang on art. This was a great, great series, and one of Vertigo's best series after the initial horror phase of Vertigo. Continuing with that theme, we've got The Losers by Andy Diggle, who was new to America at this time, and Jock, who I think also was pretty new to America.
Yeah.
This is another really, really great series, and anybody that knows me knows I don't really enjoy the action genre, especially when there's a lot of guns involved. And let me tell you, there are a lot of guns involved. And this is one of the only comics I've ever seen where movement with cars actually works on the drawn page. Jock's stuff is just fantastic. This is a scene from the 6th issue, the culmination of the first storyline. It's vicious. It's everything I can imagine seeing in a movie. Oh my gosh, they made a Losers movie. And it's very much like this comic book. And I like it a lot. This was one of my faves. It was a shame when it ended. It probably, if I had to be realistic, ended at the right time. But I just know I could have accepted a little bit more. And that's why this is on my list. Walt Simonson did Orion from DC Comics, and if it wasn't for a company-wide crossover, it wouldn't have got the extra 2 issues that it did. We're lucky to have got them, even though they weren't that great. But all the way throughout, Walt Simonson is doing fantastic, fantastic work. And it's just really special stuff. If you don't know anything about the New Gods, this is definitely a book for you. If you want to read a father-son argument book, this is definitely one for you. There's a lot of backup illustrators on this book. And yeah, this is definitely one that is a shame that it ended when it did. Walt Simonson had a lot more to give, and it ended way too soon. All right, we're almost done with this category. And only one more after this. Batman and Robin, #1. I would suggest that it was always going to end because Dick Grayson as Batman and Damian Wayne as Robin could never be the dynamic duo. But Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely, and then eventually Fraser Irving and other people, told a really, really fantastic Batman story. And I was really getting into the concept that, you know, Dick Grayson was going to be the Batman for at least a little bit longer. Grant Morrison eventually left this book, and the New 52 occurred, and then Batman Inc. happened. But it just wasn't the same, and it's a shame. Here's a great scene where Robin, Damian, is beating the holy hell out of Joker with, oh my gosh, a crowbar. I've never seen that before. Really good, good stuff. A shame that it ended when it did. The 16th issue was the last issue that Grant Morrison did. And oh my gosh, don't talk about Cameron Stewart. Okay. Next up, we have Plastic Man by Kyle Baker. And if you thought this was going to be the only Kyle Baker book you were going to see, you were incorrect. That's more to come in a moment. We've got great artwork, great writing, edited by Joe Cavallari, and that's it. It's all Kyle Baker. And look at these thugs in the first issue. They've got Pepper that they knocked over on a garishly red table, who is having a problem holding in a sneeze that's to come. And it's Plastic Man, everybody. Can you imagine? Plastic Man. Oh, wait. Plastic Man. Jesus. I did the same picture twice. God damn it. There it is. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's Plastic Man, everybody. Really, really good series. Kyle Baker's doing some great, fun, classic stuff with a character that probably isn't ever going to really get over with the mainstream ever again. It was a character that's time had come and gone, but Kyle Baker did a really good job. All right, last ones. All right, let me get this up. Are you agreeing? Do you know any of these books? Have any of these excited you in any way?
There's a few that were intriguing.
Which one?
I wouldn't mind checking out.
Which one was that? Any you can think of?
No.
Okay.
I'd have to look at them again.
All right. We're now in the We Were Robbed. We Was Robbed. Okay. That's what we got going here.
First, Plastic Man Kyle Baker was I really like that.
So very much like Chris Faluski, very much Ren and Stimpy-esque. When you read that book, it was great stuff. All right, these are the ones that piss me off the most, and the ones that we should all pay attention to. Swamp Thing. After Alan Moore left, Rick Veitch did the writing for the book and sometimes art. Who can follow Alan Moore? I mean, this guy was ushering a brand new style of writing and persons working in the industry. And here's Rick Veitch, just this guy who did this stuff, you know, that nobody really knows, and taking on this book that everybody is like paying attention to because of the people that worked on it beforehand. And he does a fantastic job. And one of the elements of the book that he's doing is he's taking Swamp Thing through time, and he's wood, he's eternal. He can move back in time through his shape-shifting tree-like powers. He even goes back to Camelot, and he uproots Camelot and he moves it as this war is occurring. The very next issue after this there was a Jesus Christ story, and as he's crucified on the cross, the Swamp Thing is that cross. And supposedly the book was already completed, and DC was like okay with it, and then DC was not okay with it, and Rick Veitch is like, see you later, and he left the book and he didn't come back.
They
They had a
censored
new
him, dude.
person automatically ready to go, I guess.
Censor artists, man, they're gone.
That's right. Well, an artist, yeah. Next up, again from DC, we have The Shadow, which was an ongoing series written by Andrew Heffler, drawn by Bill Sienkiewicz for 6 issues. And I mean, again, this art is not going to thrill the mainstream. The Shadow is not the Batman, and even if it's really expertly done, it's not going to thrill a bunch of people. So then you're trying to get people paying attention to something that they aren't going to like the artwork initially. And if they are inclined, they're probably not inclined to want to read a Shadow comic book. I know, I bought a ton of the trades and nobody cared. I love this series. It's weird, it's wild, it's wacky, it's so cool.
Who's the artist?
When Bill Sienkiewicz is gone, there's a fill-in issue by Marshall Rogers, and then Kyle Baker takes over. Oh, I should have done that after I did this picture. Wow, these are way out of place. Anyway, Kyle Baker takes over. And he does a fantastic job. It's still the same great series that you loved before. Here's a good little wrestling scene, a lot of blood on it. Very, very mature readers. And then we get to this issue, number 19, the end of a storyline. We see the Shadow's head, because that is his head, sitting on a table. And then we see he's bodiless is what's going on. And the story, as it ends, it concludes, but there's another story that's going to follow, and it never, ever, ever comes out. And that is a we were screwed situation.
I hate that when there's like a story's good and then it just kind of abruptly ends and then it just never comes back again.
Right. And I mean, there was no more to go. So we had Plastic Man that Kyle Baker did, and it probably realistically ran its course, but I wanted more. But in The Shadow, which was a really, really good book and people liked it, you even hint that there's going to be another issue and you never come out with it. There is another thing that DC did that was not so cool, and I'll show you that in a second. We got 2 more books after this one. CrossGen, as it was ending, had a very good title that people that read it really liked. Jeff Johnson on art and Chuck Dixon writing. This is the 3rd Chuck Dixon book I think I brought up. Way Other At was a martial arts kung fu inspired story. It had really, really good artwork and was one of the only cross-gen books I even cared about. It had strong female characters that kicked ass with swords, and nothing seemed unrealistic. Unfortunately, the company had to go away. And as a result, we got this 24th issue and no more. That's a shame that we never got any more Way of the Rat. I never really got it. What was that?
The title sounds funny, though.
Well, it kind of does, but I mean,
I
it's
want the Way of the
for
Dragon,
that.
Well,
what can I say? A
I
fighting style is a fighting style, you know what I mean?
I want the something, the Shinobi Ninja.
The Shinobi Ninja. Well, maybe there's a trademark on the Shinobi bit. Okay, last two, everybody. Last two titles. Green Lantern by Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams.
Ooh, I have this
Famous.
issue.
Pardon me?
I own this issue.
Good issue. Good issue to own. Famous for its social commentary. Famous for its illustrations. Famous for the fact that Green Arrow and Ganthet and Green Lantern go across the country to see America. One of the top Green Lantern stories, one of the top DC stories. I know there's people that poo-poo that, but you're crazy. And DC had to know that they had something here. And they had the 89th issue come out. And at the end of the 89th issue, they said, hey, Green Lantern's over. But if you want to read any more of this shit, come on over to Flash and we'll have some backup stories. And it was like, what the F are you doing? And it's like, if you knew that you were canceling what you are going to consider one of your most important titles of all time, would you cancel it or would you keep it going? You know, I know that there were some reasons for it, lateness issues and stuff like that, but even still, crazy. And then the one book, it's actually not canceled because it never existed, is John Byrne has taken his time to do X-Men comic books, but picking up after he left. I think as if the Phoenix never died, but I could be wrong. Anyway, he does his own X-Men comics. He does them in pencil. They're lettered. They look super professional. They look super John Byrne. And if you're a fan of him and X-Men being the way you always like them being, continuing the story from where it left off, you should check this out. It's available at Byrne Robotics, which is his own site. It's available other ways, just not physically. And it is a sin that Marvel can't hook up with John Byrne and get this book out there. It's already been done. You don't need to do any more work. Come on, get with it. And that is comics that I felt ended way too soon. Stick around. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And most importantly, thank you, everybody that is a patron of ours. You really helped out last month, whether you knew it or not. I needed to pull some money out, and I was able to do it. And thank you. Thank you for liking this show. Thank you for liking the store. Thank you for liking me. Thank you for being patrons, because you don't want to be like George Costanza.
You know, my last name is Costanza. That's Italian. So you and I are kind of like countrymen. Huh?
Paisanos!
$6.50 your change. Ah, yes. And I always take care of my paisano. So here's a little something.
Antonio! Sì! Vieni qua! Questa miserabile patrona!
You want to be seen when you're tipping. So, you know, that's what Patreon's all about. But you can also be a channel subscriber. And I want everybody to know that the Transformers spin thing for the 1 in 50 number 2 went really well. And I screwed up and didn't include one of my poll customers. I said he would get an extra spin on the next one. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make something available to him and anybody that's a patron or a channel subscriber. Now, you have to be a channel subscriber by the end of this month, and we aren't going to do the thing until the end of March. So I need you for 2 months. But if you do it, it's totally going to be worth it. So become a patron. Just put a few bucks in. Be a channel subscriber or be Ken. And there should be something good happening at the end of March for you. How's that for a hook, talking soul?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I mean, what, it's like $2.99 or $3.99 to be a channel subscriber. I mean, come on,
That's less than a
that's
cup of
less than
coffee.
a pack of smokes a week.
Cheaper than a cup of coffee.
Cheaper than a cup of coffee every day for the month. I keep forgetting to run these videos in the background. Isn't that cool? It's cool. You can say it.
Yeah.
All right. Let me go to chat really quick and see what anybody has said when we were talking about stuff. All right, let's see how far I have to go back to get to anything. All right, Road Comics. Okay, we did that one. Excellent. Okay, we're back. Oh, he was talking about Ghost Machine. Don't you worry, I got you Ghost Machined up. Road Comics. Another thing to add, Yule's take that are monumentally incorrect. His unusual Didio-esque hatred of Power Pack. I don't hate Power Pack. I just was a kid that didn't want to read something that was young for me. You know what I mean? I was already in the adult books. I was reading Kamiko and Pacific Comics and First Comics and all sorts of stuff that was out there. Turtles, you know what I mean? More hilarious was the series got the one issue with Jim Lee. I think you're talking about Wildcats. That was a sexy thing. I agree. I love Steven Scroat's Clobbering Time miniseries last year with the thing. Oh, I agree. So many people were hating on that, but they were wrong. Let's see. Battle Buddy misses Hellblazer. Road Comics likes Frankencastle. One of the greatest Punisher storylines ever. Yes. And also Atari Force's God Tier. See, sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes I'm right. Not a fan of what Rucka tried to do to Frank Cho. F him. Yeah, it was kind of stupid. Simonson Orion, I agree. Quietly, yes. Morrison, no. Hell no, I'm sorry. I like the book when Tomasi took over. Also, Marshall Rogers was the shit. Would you trust anyone to color ink that John Byrne book? Well, the thing about John Byrne is he had his buddy coloring his Next Men, and it was garbage. So I don't know if I necessarily trust Byrne to have it colored. But as far as inking, somebody that knows a line weight but isn't overzealous with it, I think would be cool. You don't want Klaus Janson to ink John Byrne, you know what I mean? Jill's not a fan of the video background. Okay. Is it this video background or is it just any video background? Because I got this one. This one's pretty cool, I think. People cheering for me. I love that. Yeah.
Is it Gangnam style?
It's Gangnam style.
Gangnam style.
It's whatever North Korean dictator it is. But I love that.
Unleash fiery hell and totally destroy America.
They can't get their shit over to California. I mean, we're okay, right? I got this one. Is this one okay? I animated that.
It's like Instagram filters.
It kind of is.
When I have meetings, I like to use the filters in the background. I had one for Christmas where it looked like it was snowing outside. Then I had one where I was staying in a French hotel right outside Paris in the Eiffel Tower. You know.
So we retain most of our viewers. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. Now we can start the show. Just joking. Join me next week. Not Talking Soul. We'll get another customer. I'm not going to play a video on the way out. So see you next week and buy some comics.
Yeah.